friend. I am going to do an experiment, okay? So I made some watercolor paintings in my watercolor class. I'll show you each one of them. This is the purple one with the window, and I have some sunflowers, and I also have what I thought was gonna be like a horrible painting. I think turned out to be one of my favorites, with these little flowers and kind of a dripping effect in the background. And I wanted to challenge myself and see if I could make something different with inspiration from my own artwork. I'm actually going to be doing an art show. I say for the first time, but I did have like a tiny little booth of expressive arts things that I did back in December, and there was just not like a lot of traffic around there. It was associated with the school, so yeah, this is more of a community outreach at a local thrift store where they do different things. This is their first time to do an art show, so go make some magic with me. Oh gosh, I gotta quit being so weird. All right, so first inspiration, this one. And what we're gonna do is get out my new little mat. I bought this silicone mat to keep my table clean, although my table is still filthy from all of the art I have done on it. And then it made this like crazy messy too, so let's get it out. So I'm gonna be making, you did not say what I was making, did I? We're gonna be making vases out of air dry clay that you can't put real flowers in, but they're still gonna be really cute, okay? They'll be really cute. And some smaller acrylic painting. I have a lot of experimenting in this video that I'm trying for the first time, because honestly I just like to try new things for the first time and then like never do them again. Okay, maybe I'll do them again. I've done several watercolor paintings. Anyway, I'm a bit of a rambler. I bought this like little mini canvas set, and they're little 5x5 canvases, and I'm only gonna do 3 paintings right now, okay? Because this is gonna be a series of different spring watercolor paintings to get ready for my art show. I cannot think. Anyway, so I have already drawn out the 3 flowers. These are the purple ones, the sunflower ones, and the pink ones, okay? This is rough sketching, okay? I'm not a drawer. I recently bought this, which is gonna help me mix some paint, and then I can cover it up and keep using the paint as I desire, because who can ever find the right color of paint? I'm sick and tired of not finding the right paint or not having the right paint for the right color that I want to choose. And also, I'm tired of not knowing how to make colors, because I never went to art school, but I'm trying to be an artist somehow. Also got me, my new experiment is trying out this tool and figuring out how to make the colors by adding white and black, and then combining the other colors to make new colors. So this should tell me how to do that. Let's get started. I saw someone who recommended these latex acrylic paints, and so I bought them and decided I would try, combining them and figuring out how to make my own colors. So that's what I started to do. I painted the background of the window yellow, and I tried to add in a little bit of whiteness to the background too, so it wasn't completely just one solid color. I'm trying to work on those kinds of skills of blending different colors together And also with this purple that I'm doing now and trying to do different colored purples, I went and started with the darker color first and then put on the lighter color. But typically with watercolor, you do the opposite of that. And I don't know what I was doing or thinking about doing with acrylic. It doesn't particularly matter if you're painting over it anyway. The light reflection in this is not great. It wasn't really great in the original image either. Okay, it's done. We have our final painting here. And I feel like it's a good match. What do you think? Okay, so now let's try to make a vase. Can we make a vase? Voila, here is my clay. This is the air dry clay I got from Hobby Lobby. Tools. We're gonna pull off a piece and we're gonna start the rolling. I decided for this first vase that I would do the cool method, which is simply rolling out some clay and putting it together. So voila! It looks like this. And then you form a flat piece to go on the bottom and make them all combine together like so. And then it'll look like that. I did that on the inside too. And then I painted it. All my hard work turned into this. I also have some cutouts that I put on here. And then I painted it, and there's the inside of it. And I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. I was trying to get like a beige color on the bottom, and it was not working. It just turned white because color theory. I don't know. And then I used a sponge and painted this gold print on it because I wanted it to look kind of like a stone look, and it takes away from all of the kind of hand-built imperfections that happen when you are hand building a craft like this. And then you seal it with some Mod Podge, which you will see a little bit later. And here is the final result of these three. I really liked the way it turned out. I actually did this vase earlier. That's why I don't have any video of me actually building it or painting it. Next up, we have our pink flowers. So I was informed that these are indeed poppy flowers. And fun fact here, when I was playing pickleball with my friend, she was telling me how poppy flowers is what makes heroin. So apparently I like heroin now. Just kidding. But anyway, I really like these flowers and how they turned out. So I am figuring out how do I paint this on this canvas in a tiny way and dripping method that works better with watercolor than it actually does with acrylic. So it wasn't easy. It was mostly like just trying to run lines down, and I just try to use a lot of water with the acrylic to make it look a little bit more runny like. Now I'm adding in my pink. I actually wish I would have gone with some red in addition to this. I had like 3 different color pinks that I used within it, but it still didn't look bright enough to me as I was working on it. And here's the final result, kind of comparing the watercolor and the acrylic. Next up is the vase that goes along with this series. You might be wondering, why is she not using a roller? Why is she pinching this? It's because I really don't know what I'm doing. I do know that I can smooth this out, but it was not smoothing very well. So it's fine. It's fine. I'm not a perfectionist, if you can't tell. But I'm cutting this, and I just used part of the cardboard from the clay box to make this little rectangle. And that is how I'm making the sides of this vase. I decided to do this 4 times to make a rectangular vase this time. And it fell apart right here. And so I tried to figure out how to fix it. Then you have to figure out, how do you piece these together? It was really not that easy, but there is this special little tool that you use to rake the edges. And you have to do that on both sides of where the pieces will attach. Then I'm adding some vinegar. This is like a white vinegar. I don't know. That's just what they used at the clay place that I practiced at before. So we painted that on instead of just using water. And then I blended the 2 pieces together. This was really hard, trying to figure out how to hold them together without them coming apart, and putting all 4 sides together. It was not easy at all. But I finally got it all together. And then I started to try to smooth everything out. After getting that bottom put on, now I decided to make the flowers. I was trying to do it this method, but it didn't really work well. And I eventually just worked with my fingers and made different pieces and added different petals to it to turn them into these little poppy flowers, what I was trying to put together on the vase. So here I am adding it. I did use the little tool to attach them. They were falling off, and I had to use some glue to reattach them later on. But I went ahead and painted it white so that I would have a clean background to start the painting on. So here I am trying to do that same kind of drip method again, adding water to the paint to let it just kind of slide down the vase. So I'm adding these yellows and greens and trying to just get some different colors and let it fade in different directions so that it's not just like one solid kind of color. It was definitely difficult to paint this because of the one flower that had kept falling off and the glue was not staying stuck, but it did eventually. And so I couldn't lean it on that side on the bottom, so I had to just lay it down so I could paint on it without then I tried to hold it, and that did help, but I really liked the way this turned out. I thought it was super cool. Next, we have our sunflower painting, and I'm going to use this to make a little 5x5 acrylic and see where it takes me. So I started out with the purple background, and I added some of that same little texture to the back with this kind of brownish color. And then I paint the sunflowers, and I just really love sunflowers. I like the bright colors, and they kind of remind me of different people in my life, like my mother-in-law and my sister. They also remind me of the fall and going to different pumpkin patches as a family, because a lot of the pumpkin patches we would go to would have these big sunflower fields, and we would just go and take pictures in them and pick some sunflowers, and they're just really pretty. I would love to grow some sunflowers one day and have them like that little canopy like thing that you see like on Pinterest. So anyway, I'm adding this blue to the vase and trying to blend in some different colors so that it's not just going to be like one solid blue color. But I am very happy with the way that I had it turned out, with the darker shade on one side and the lighter contrast on the other. And here's the comparison between both of them. I mean, the vase is a little darker, but it's okay. Next up, I guess I forgot to film making this little tube. It really was not that easy to do, but I got it together and tried to figure out how to make it stand up, adding water to it to help smooth out some of the little imperfections. And then I made some of these little sunflowers, but I couldn't film it. I've got to practice figuring out where the camera is when I'm filming. You think being a YouTuber would be easy, but it's not. Especially even editing this now. So I'm adding some leaves to the top. I thought it would just add something additional to it. And I couldn't figure out how to add leaves to the actual sunflowers. Maybe one day I will. So that is it. And I had to let it dry overnight before I started my white base coat, and then let that dry and then come back to finish painting the rest of it. So I painted these leaves on, and then I decided to go with a purple background, kind of similar to the painting itself. So after I was finishing all of these that I painted, it looks like very matte colored, but I added some Mod Podge glossiness to it so that they would have some shine. And here is the final product. If you want to see more of these, I have 2 more sets coming up in the next couple of weeks. I try to release on Wednesdays. Subscribe, like, comment, please, all the things to get the algorithm going, and go make your own magic.